Space colonization, how to build a lunar base. In 1969, American astronaut Neil Armstrong successfully landed on the moon, taking his small step and humans' big step. Since then, although mankind has never landed on the moon again, the yearning and exploration for colonizing the moon has not stopped. Scientific research has proved that humans can survive on the moon, because the gravity of the moon may actually be more beneficial to life than the microgravity experienced by astronauts on the International Space Station. Therefore, as the only natural satellite of the Earth, and the nearest celestial body to the Earth, the moon is considered as the best candidate for the first permanent alien colony of mankind. However, if we want to achieve the goal of long-term colonization on the moon, we must get rid of the expensive space supply mission, and have the ability to use the local resources of the moon to produce the materials needed to sustain life. Now, a new study provides new possibilities for mankind to achieve the goal of long-term colonization of the moon. The research team from the University of Florida in the United States planted Arabidopsis plants in the lunar soil, proving that plants can successfully germinate and grow in the lunar soil. This is the first time in human history, and also a milestone in lunar exploration and space exploration. It is the first step to plant plants and generate oxygen during the future lunar or space missions. We want to do this experiment because we have been thinking about this question for many years: can plants grow in the lunar soil? The answer is yes. The moon soil grows fruit flies and plants. Arabidopsis, also known as mouse ear mustard, Arabic mustard and Arabic grass, is the same as rape and cabbage as cruciferous plants. Arabidopsis is widely distributed in Eurasia and Northwest Africa, and grows in Inner Mongolia, Shaanxi, Sichuan, Yunnan and other places in China. Arabidopsis is the most widely used model plant in the world, known as Drosophila in plants, because of its small size, rapid propagation and easy cultivation in the laboratory. In this work, the research team used lunar soil from Apollo 11, 12 and 17 lunar exploration missions. They placed Arabidopsis plants in 12 lunar soil samples for cultivation, and compared whether there were differences in growth and gene expression between these plants and 16 Arabidopsis growing in the volcanic ash samples of the Earth. The particle size and mineral composition of volcanic ash are similar to lunar soil. The research results show that although Arabidopsis can grow in the lunar soil, compared with the growth in the volcanic ash of the Earth, the growth rate of Arabidopsis is slower, it takes longer to expand its leaves, and it will show more signs of stress, growth inhibition, containing red melanin, especially those more exposed to the lunar surface. In addition, the genetic analysis of 3 smaller and darker plants by the research team showed that the expression level of more than 1,000 genes, mostly related to stress, in these plants was different from those in the volcanic ash. In addition, the research team also found that the plants growing in Apollo 11 samples were weaker than those in Apollo 12 and 17 samples, and expressed more different levels of genes than those in volcanic ash. The plants in Apollo 11, 12 and 17 samples expressed 465, 265, and 113 genes at different levels. 71% of these genes are related to stress caused by salt, metal, and reactive oxygen molecules. The research team speculated that cosmic rays and solar wind had damaged the lunar soil, and these soil contain tiny iron particles, or induce stress reactions of plants, damaging their development. In the future, in order for plants to grow more effectively in the lunar soil, the research team needs to further study the interaction between plants and the lunar soil. In order to create a place where Earth people can live in the universe, including the plan to migrate to Mars, there is a view that you must first establish a lunar base. Why is it good to build a lunar base? This article will introduce how to build a lunar base and move forward to space colonization. Human technology has advanced, and the technology to create a lunar base has also begun to emerge. NASA predicts that the actual budget for the construction of the lunar base is $20 billion to $40 billion, and the time required is about 10 years. However, the return on this investment is immeasurable. Because the establishment of the lunar base makes it possible to develop new technologies and obtain unlimited resources. With the establishment of the lunar base, a new space development competition has begun, and it is also possible to expand the scope of action inside and outside the solar system. However, it is very difficult for the government to realize that for the future of mankind, and a long-term investment such as the lunar base. In fact, the development of the lunar base is very difficult, but what if it starts today? Generally speaking, colonization was carried out in 3 stages. Take the colonization of European countries as an example. When a country finds a new land, first of all, a sovereign country will mark the land and establish a residence, but the sovereign people do not live in that place. This is the first stage. In the second stage, build a small settlement. However, daily necessities depend on imports from sovereign countries. At this time, some people may not survive. Some surviving people settled down. The third stage. Comprehensive colonization has been completed, and merchants and workers have migrated to accumulate wealth. Send the wealth generated to this sovereign country. If you colonize the moon, you should follow the same 3 steps. However, as far as lunar colonization is concerned, unlike the colonization carried out so far, it will not kill a large number of people. Of course, there are still many problems before the colonization of the moon. First of all, the moon is not a livable place for mankind. 1 day on the moon is equivalent to 29 days on the Earth. The highest temperature is 127 degrees Celsius, and the lowest temperature is 173 degrees Celsius, which is the land with large temperature difference. There is no atmosphere to protect humans from meteorites and cosmic rays. The surface of the moon is extremely dangerous to human body, and the moon dust may damage DNA. However, this would be the case if we faced difficulties and carried out colonization. First, the first stage of colonization has been completed. The moon landing was part of the space development race in the 1960s, which was equivalent to the first stage of colonization. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration of the United States has drawn a map of the moon. The Chinese explorer Jade Rabbit has determined that the surface of the moon is composed of water, ice and metal. In other words, we can say that the first stage has ended. Human beings have entered the second stage of lunar colonization. The second stage is to establish the first lunar base. It is estimated that the first small-scale lunar base will be completed within 10 years. Because it is very expensive to send supplies to the moon. The base launched to the moon is very light and smaller than the inflatable house. It is estimated that no more than 12 people will live there. However, it is said that it can be used as a disaster shelter. It is believed that astronauts will not stay on the moon for too long, and this residence will eventually be abandoned. At this time, the solar panel installed on the lunar base cannot generate electricity at night, but it provides enough power for human activities in the daytime. It is expected that engineers and scientists will be sent to the lunar base first. Study the composition of the moon and try to use things on the moon, such as making ice water on the moon. If the safety of water can be guaranteed, it can not only be used as drinking water but also be planted with plants. If fuel can be generated from hydrogen, it will be able to supply power at night and increase the activity time of the crew. It is also important to be able to produce rocket fuel from oxygen and hydrogen. Once fuel can be produced, the moon can be used as a gas station and for missions on Mars and elsewhere. This is a great advantage because it makes it easier and cheaper to put the rocket in the orbit with the moon as the starting point, rather than the Earth as the starting point. Mars colonization may begin on the moon. However, in this state, if the investment stops, it is possible to abandon the base, which cannot be said to be true colonization. This is because we need to be self-sufficient to carry out real colonization and support life on the moon by sending goods to the Earth. The time to complete the above work is the third stage. In the third stage, private enterprises will enter. Precious metals on the Earth, such as titanium, uranium, platinum and gold, are abundant on the moon. Therefore, companies mining and transporting these metals to the Earth will have a significant impact on the Earth. In addition, because the moon is rich in helium-3, which is used for nuclear fusion power generation, the future of exploiting helium-3 is also conceivable. In fact, some companies plan to build a lunar base for helium-3 extraction in China. You can also get cheap and clean energy by sending helium-3 from the moon to the Earth. In addition, with the increasing size of the lunar base, materials from the moon can be used to develop construction plans. Fortunately, concrete can be made from things on the moon. You can also use mining robots to convert lunar dust into organic compounds and create huge structures that cannot be transported from the Earth. In addition, 3D printers can create tools for people living on the moon. No one knows when a self-sufficient colony will be completed. The population will steadily exceed 100. Therefore, 2 people who gave birth to children outside the Earth for the first time should appear. This means that the moon is not the place where scientists and engineers work but the place where people live. It is said that since this transformation, the growth rate of the colonies has been very fast. The population of settlements, schools and farmland will increase. It will invest in all technologies to develop and maintain the colony. How to use less water or effectively recycle carbon to feed food. You may find a 100% way to recycle garbage. These technologies are also of great value to the Earth. The possibility of the first space elevator in the solar system will be created. The space elevator can easily move spacecraft, astronauts, supplies, etc. from the lunar orbit to the moon. The moon has become the hub of economic activities, and its scale is now incomparable. Will children born on the moon acquire the nationality of their parents' country? Or, in a new society, has every child born on the moon been accepted? This is an unknown number. The lunar agreement, no country can own the moon, promulgated in 1984, must also be reconsidered. There are many problems in the future, but it is certain that the moon is the perfect sample for promoting the colonization of the solar system. The colonization of the moon will integrate all countries, and we can survive when something happens on the Earth. This is a way to make up for this.